a place where the air is thick with the smell of decay. The walls are streaked with strange, unidentifiable liquids dripping down from the ceilings, and the heat during summer is unbearable, while winter turns the cells into icy tombs. This is the Metropolitan Detention Center, or MDC, a place many inmates describe as nothing less than a living hell. And it's here, within these crumbling walls, that one of the world's richest and most famous music icons, Sean P. Diddy Combs, finds himself locked away. To the outside world, Diddy is worth $500 million, a symbol of success, luxury, and untouchable power. But within the MDC, he's just another inmate, subject to the same harsh realities as anyone else in the Southern District of New York. For those unfamiliar, MDC is no ordinary holding facility. This is the place where defendants facing federal charges in New York are housed, including some of the country's most notorious criminals. In fact, the conditions are so brutal that federal judges have, on multiple occasions, reduced sentences or granted bail to prisoners simply because the environment was deemed too inhumane. We're talking about a place where survival is a daily battle, not just against fellow inmates, but against the facility itself. The list of complaints about this prison is long and disturbing. The heat in the summer can reach dangerous levels, while winter brings freezing temperatures. Inmates suffer from poor ventilation and mold, and often go without basic necessities like clean clothes or drinkable water. This isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. There have been multiple reports of inmates suffering severe health complications from these conditions. And yet, despite his immense wealth and status, Diddy wasn't given any special treatment when he was brought here. He's housed like any other federal defendant, and even though you might think they'd move a billionaire celebrity somewhere more secure or comfortable, that's not how the federal system works. MDC is the holding facility for anyone awaiting trial in the Southern District of New York or the Eastern District of New York, regardless of who they are or how much money they have. But it's reported that Diddy isn't entirely alone in his suffering. Rumor has it, he's sharing space with another high-profile inmate, Sam Bankman-Fried, the disgraced cryptocurrency billionaire. Bankman-Fried, worth billions before his legal downfall, now finds himself in the same predicament as Diddy, locked away from the lavish life they once knew, trapped in the grim world of MDC. It's interesting when you think about it. Two men, both used to unimaginable wealth and influence, now face the same dehumanizing conditions as the average inmate. They might be housed in a special unit to protect them from the general population, but even that offers little comfort when you're dealing with the horrors of a place like MDC. But things took a darker turn when reports began to surface that Diddy might be on suicide watch. Now, for those unfamiliar with what that means, suicide watch in a prison like MDC is serious business. Inmates on suicide watch are monitored closely, checked on frequently throughout the day and night. Their access to everyday items like bed sheets, shoelaces, and clothing that could be used for self-harm is severely restricted. It's a way to prevent the unthinkable, but it's also a stark indicator of the level of concern prison officials have for Diddy's mental state. Of course, when we talk about suicide watch in a federal facility, it's impossible not to mention Jeffrey Epstein, whose mysterious death occurred while he was supposedly under similar watch at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, just miles from where Diddy is now. Epstein's death under such questionable circumstances shook the world and raised countless questions about the Bureau of Prisons' ability to protect their high-profile inmates. Could Diddy be facing the same fate? The charges against Diddy are severe: sex trafficking and racketeering. If convicted, he's facing a minimum of 15 years behind bars, possibly more. And here's the thing. In the federal system, 95% of cases end in plea deals. But this case doesn't seem like it's headed in that direction. Diddy has shown no signs of willingness to accept a lesser charge or plead guilty, and prosecutors don't seem inclined to offer him much leniency either. What does this mean? It means this case is likely heading to trial. If that happens, the odds aren't in Diddy's favor. Federal trials are notoriously difficult to win, and with charges this serious, the likelihood of a conviction is high. If convicted, Diddy could spend the rest of his life in prison. Yes, you heard that right, life in prison. Although the maximum sentence might not always be given, the minimum is nothing to scoff at, and in this case, even that could mean decades behind bars. But is there a chance he could cut a deal? Possibly. However, cooperation with federal prosecutors isn't a simple process. In cases like this, the feds are looking for big fish. They don't care about Diddy giving up smaller players or his associates. For any deal to happen, Diddy would need to offer up major names, people higher up in the criminal underworld. And even if he does have that kind of information, would he be willing to put his own life on the line by becoming a federal informant? In the end, Diddy's future is uncertain. The man who once stood at the pinnacle of fame and fortune now finds himself in a dangerous and dehumanizing situation. Will he survive the brutal conditions of MDC? Will he be able to fight the charges and regain his freedom? Or is this the tragic fall of an icon who once seemed untouchable? From luxury mansions and private jets to the cold, unforgiving walls of a notorious federal prison, this is the story of a man whose fall from grace might just be beginning. And the world is watching to see what happens next.